Hi guys! Wow, welcome back. Long time no see. I know that I've been missing in action for a while, but it's because I've been working on an exciting project. I can say that, given the title of this video. So a lot has happened in my life in the recent past, and I just thought that now would be the best time to try and have another kid. For those who may not know me, by the way, my name is Angela, and I have been in this platform for quite some time, and I have one kid that is going to be turning 8 in January. And of course the kid has been asking me for a sibling, especially this year. But I'm not like giving in to like pressure from her. No, it's only because I also feel that this would be my prime time to try and have another kid, because next month I'll be turning 36, and with this whole fertility thing, once you hit once you're above 35, then your graph starts to go down. It becomes a little bit more difficult for you to conceive naturally, and also the likelihood of you maybe having a child with birth defects or chromosomal disorders becomes a little bit raised. It becomes higher. So I embarked on this journey somewhere in August, and I thought that maybe by mid-September, I would be making the pregnancy announcement, maybe. But so I visited a fertility clinic. Of course I had to Google around. I'm in Nairobi, by the way, so I had to Google search around fertility clinics, and the one that I landed on is in Landmark Plaza. And I thought, okay, let me pay them a visit. And I went and spoke to the should I say gynecologist or whatever, the fertility expert in that clinic, and I explained my situation to him. He was a mister. I've never really gone for gynecological all these things especially with a male doctor, so it was quite uncomfortable to answer all those questions like, why have you not tried to conceive naturally, you don't have a partner, all those things. But anyway, I just figured I have to answer. And then I told him, I actually have a 7-year-old, and who was conceived naturally, and was like, why not go the same route again? And I was like, no, that's not an option for me right now. I just prefer to use an unknown donor for the reasons best known to myself. So he was like, okay, we might be able to help you, but the only problem would be that we have a very limited donor list. We are not like a sperm bank, and we don't have we don't entice people to come and donate. So if you're gonna be satisfied with our donor profile, then we'll be able to help you. So I went and checked their donor profile. It was really limited, and the profiles that would have worked with me were not those people were no longer available as donors. So I settled with one, but I was like ish. But then I said, you know what, fine, let's do this thing. So I got excited, and later on I was advised that now they will begin my fertility treatment. Since I was on board, I had to sign a document and say that, okay, this is the donor that I have picked, and we can begin. And they prescribed a medication, like a fertility medication called letrozole or Femara, which I was advised that I should start taking on day 3 of my cycle, and then on day 12 I should go back for a scan to see whether there are any mature follicles that would later on rupture and release a mature egg or something like that. And the medication is sometimes also to encourage your ovaries to produce more than one egg, so that the likelihood of you conceiving is high. So I was excited, and especially when my period came, and it came exactly on time. So I was excited to start that journey. So day 1 of my cycle, of course, went by. Day 2, and on day 3 in the morning after breakfast, I took the first tab of letrozole. I think they prescribed 5 milligrams per day for 5 days, from day 3 to day 7. But unfortunately, that very day when I started taking my medication is the day that my dad died. So I knew, oh my god, I was so excited about this whole thing, and now I have to just cancel it, because by the time I would reach the peak of my fertility for that cycle, I would be home, doing the burial arrangements and stuff. So But I thought, since I've already taken the first tablet, let me just continue and see what happens and see how my body responds to it. Yeah, so I took the drugs for the next 5 days, but then I had to travel home. So, and then I took with me to like ovulation predictor kits, just to see whether I would ovulate in that cycle and which time of the month I would actually ovulate. Because in the previous cycle I suspected, I did not test, but I suspected because of how my body was reacting that I had ovulated maybe on day 16. So I took some 2 tests, and then on day 11 of my cycle, I was home, of course, in Busia. I tested and there was a faint line. So I skipped day 12 and day 13. I just saw that it was a waste because I had only taken 2 kits, and those things are quite expensive. So on day 14, on the day of my father's burial, that was my peak day. See my predicament. So that was the peak day. That was the day that I was actually ovulating. So I took the kit again. I did not know that I would ovulate on that day. I took the kit again and I tested it, and there was a line but it was starting to fade. It was brighter, but it was starting to fade, which means I had already like surpassed the surge. But on that very day, I can assure you, I felt my ovaries releasing eggs. And both sides, I felt like, okay, what am I feeling? Is that not an ovulation pain? So it went on for quite some time, maybe for a couple of minutes, and then shifted to the other side, and I was like, oh my god, my ovaries are in fact releasing 2 eggs at a time. So I was kind of excited about that, just to know that I'm ovulating and my system is functioning normally. So of course that the eggs went to waste, but I still thank God, because once I came back to Nairobi, then because I had to wait for another cycle to begin. You always have to wait for your cycle, your menstrual cycle to begin before you can like begin that period. But of course, if you're planning to do this, you need to visit the fertility clinic earlier so that they can advise you on how to proceed. So I went back to them and I told them, okay, I got this issue like this and that, and I would not be available during the time of the IUI treatment. So I need a fresh prescription of letrozole. And they were like, did you use the previous ones? Yes, I said yes, I had started, and then this happened. So I thought, just let me finish, because it's always with drugs, it's better to just finish a dose. So they were like, okay, checking between the time that I last took them and that time. They was like, okay, fine, we can prescribe fresh ones. So again, I was excited, but I wasn't really happy with my donor profile, to be honest. It's not really exactly what I was looking for. It had something to do with what I was looking for, but I wasn't completely satisfied. So okay, fine. I was debating, and I knew that this is something that would disturb me for the rest of my life, because it's a very major decision. So when I came back home, I decided, why not Google again and see and check around like other fertility clinics and see if maybe one of them could have what I'm looking for. And I called the first one, no, second, third, fourth, fifth. I was almost giving up, and then boom, I called this Indian doctor, and she was like, yeah, we do have that. Yeah. And I was like, is that the donor with this kind of profile available at the moment? And I was like, yeah. So I was like, do I need to book an appointment? And like, yes, you can book an appointment. For when? Say, okay, I'm heading to the clinic, you can come in now. So there, me, just gotten back home, took my bag, went all the way to Parklands, and I met with this doctor, and the reception was really nice. You know, she asked the secretary to call me, find out where I was, help me find my way, and I felt like these are people that were really interested in helping me. Okay, it could be maybe a PR or marketing thing, but who knows, who cares? So I got to the clinic and I filled out a form. I had to pay some, of course, consultation fee, which was 3,000. The other clinic charged me 4,000. So I paid 3,000 shillings, and then I went in, saw the doctor, explained the situation, explained my requirements, and she was like, yeah, we can help you, but it will cost you an arm and a leg. So it turned out that according to the donor profile that I was looking for, I would pay like 3 times what I was going to pay in the other clinic. And I was like, that's a lot of money to put into something that I'm not really sure how it will go. So at that point, I was thinking, I went back home, and I was still, no, before I went back home, the doctor told me that, you know what, you're committing to spend a lot of money, and I wouldn't even advise you to do this unless you know that this thing does actually have the potential of working. So we have to schedule a scan to check that your ovaries are working fine, that you have no cysts, that your tubes are not blocked, because since you had a baby previously, maybe something might have gotten stuck and it's blocking one of your ovaries. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever has to be done. So I asked, okay, when can I do the scan? They were like, if you're ready now, we are ready. And things were moving so fast. That was day 23 of my next cycle. So they scheduled the scan, which was gruesome and painful. I've never, like, if you've ever done something like pap smear before, something like that, where they have to open you up with a speculum and then Jesus, I don't even want to describe it. But they checked and they injected some fluid into my tubes to see whether the fluids will flow, to see whether there's a blockage or not. And thankfully, there was no blockage and my ovaries were fine. There was no cysts. There was no problem with my reproductive system. So I was happy. And they told me, okay, now if you are on board, come back on day 2 of your cycle, between day 2 and 3 of your cycle, and we can start the fertility treatment. So I came back home and I was still asking myself, seriously? That money is a lot. We are talking, wow, that money is a lot. Should I not just go back to these other guys? But I was asking myself, how comes these other guys did not bother to check whether my tubes were okay, or whether they just wanted to go ahead with the process, and then if it would have failed, I would have to repeat again and again, and not knowing exactly why it is failing. So I felt like, okay, the other doctor actually knows what she's doing, so I'd rather like just stick with them. And I told myself, this one is going to take faith. I've been praying. It's not like something that I just woke up and decided to do. I've been praying for the fruit of the womb. And I told myself that God has already blessed me. So I'm not going to limit him because of finances. He's my provider. And I know that so many people, maybe even in other countries, when they go through such kind of treatment, it's paid by insurance. But me, I was to pay out of pocket. And it's like, whatever. It's okay. So, I went back home. Of course, when I was home, I just decided, after soul searching, I decided, you know what, let me just stick to this doctor, because I had actually prayed, God, please help me find this profile that I'm looking for. So I said, okay, God has directed me there and I want to act smart, so let me just stick with them. So yeah, that is how I ended up now making up my mind that I'm gonna go through the fertility treatment. And lo and behold, on day 25 of my cycle, I decided, you know, because I was googling, okay, like how to improve your chances of conception or blah blah blah, and I saw that you need to be active. So on that day, I was feeling a little bit emotional. I was thinking about my dad. I started to cry in the morning, and I thought, okay, I want to release the steam. So I went for a long walk that took me around maybe 40 minutes or something. Hey, then when I came back, I was cramping and all that, and then I started spotting, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Is it because of the invasion from the scan the other time? Am I still bleeding from that? Because I had a little spotting right after the procedure. And okay, I let it go. It continued throughout the day, just spotting, not noticeable. And then the following day, it was still there, but it had increased in volume a little bit, and I was like, there's no possible way that this is like period, because it was 6 days earlier. It was coming like 6 days earlier than my expected date for the cycle the following month. So I ignored it, but in the evening I got a little bit concerned because the bleeding continued, little just drops. I called that doctor and I was like, okay, I'm bleeding. Is it possible that I'm still bleeding like 3 days after the scan, that I should still be bleeding right now? And she was like, no, it's fine. If you don't have any pain and there is no like foul smell and stuff like that, then you should just be fine. So on the next day, now it had gotten heavier, and it was now like, no way, this was not a cycle, like a menstrual cycle. So I just decided, you know what, I called the doctor again and I was like, oh, you know what, this one looks like a cycle. Should I come in for an evaluation? And he's like, okay, you know what, just come into the clinic and we will talk. So I went to the clinic, and of course, saw the doctor, explained the situation, and she was like, okay, when did you start spotting? And I was like, 3 days ago, and right now it's of course heavier, and I'm cramping and all that. It's definitely a period. And that is how now I started on my like fertility medication. So of course, in the next video I'm gonna be telling you about what I had to, the procedures that had to be done with this new doctor to stimulate my ovaries or follicles, and how the scan went and all that, because I don't want this video to be very long. But yeah, I am excited about this journey, and I'm inviting you to like come on board and see where this journey is going to lead. It's exciting and overwhelming, and yeah, I just hope for the best. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck, because usually they say that the success rate with this kind of procedure, the IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, is like 15 to 25%, especially for people who are above 35 years, which I'm now 35, turning on 36. So yeah, thank you so much guys for tuning in and for watching. And if at all you're going through any fertility issues or fertility treatment, then I wish you all the best, and see ya in another video. Bye.